Artisanal mining and its formalization in focus today on Weekend File. Have a good evening and welcome to the program. Artisanal mining has been practiced in Nigeria for many decades as a pro-poor livelihood strategy that involves people using simple tools and equipment for mining. It is estimated that about 170 artisanal mining sites exist in the country, with over 500,000 people directly involved and another 300,000 as service providers. Some of the products mined include precious metals, gold, and variety of gemstones like sapphire, emerald, tourmaline, topaz, and others. As a result of non-formal involvement by government and environmentalists, artisanal mining activities bring about environmental damage, loss of life through lead poisoning, social disruptions, and in some cases, conflict. The sales channels, which are largely unofficial and embedded with smuggling by distribution cartels, lead to loss of revenue and royalties. In recognition of the importance of artisanal and small-scale mining as livelihood strategy for poverty alleviation, the federal government is adopting an action plan termed formalization through corporatization to address artisanal mining issues such as lack of transparent legal framework, weak institutional structures, and capacity to implement existing regulations. We will probe all the issues beneath the surface for better appreciation of what government intends to do and whether or not the impact of the plan can change the narrative in the mining sector. My guest today is Patrick Ojeka, Director, Artisanal Mining, Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. My name is Kurian Umayo. Now, let's get to work. We'll begin with the news. Though no suspected case of coronavirus has been recorded in Taraba State, the state government is taking nothing for granted to prevent the disease getting to the state. Joseph Olsen reports that equipment have been procured for a special response team at the Jalingo Airport for detection and care of suspected cases.
Since the outbreak of coronavirus in China, the federal and state government have been up and doing to ensure it is not widely spread in Nigeria. Taraba State is not left out, as the state government has acquired equipment for screening, testing, and protective gears for health workers, as well as sterilizing items to checkmate outbreak. A quarantine center at the Taraba State Specialist Hospital is put in place for any suspected coronavirus case in the state.
We have the PPE, that is the personal protective equipment.
The Jalingo Airport has been operating commercial flight on daily basis between Abuja and Jalingo.
If we have a suspected case using this very infrared thermometer, that means the temperature will be higher than above normal, then we make sure that we alert the specialist hospital or the medical center, which are the tertiary institution here in the state.
Several public awareness campaigns have been on, sensitizing the people on the disease and personal hygiene to prevent infection. In Jalingo, Joseph Sound Otsen, NTA News.
Thank you, Joseph. And right now, we'd like to take you over to our Benin Network Center, where we have the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Ihanere. Dr. Ihanere, good evening and welcome to Weekend File. Good evening and welcome to Weekend File.
Good evening.
All right, as at the last count, the coronavirus disease is in almost 90 countries. And of course, Nigeria has been able to maintain its single case status 2 weeks after the confirmation. What is being done to sustain this feat?
Well, we are continuing very strongly with our strategy of first-line defense at the airport and screening all passengers very carefully. As you know, we take the thermal, we use the thermal camera to take their temperature, and they also fill a self-reporting form, and this is analyzed for any suspicious patient. And if there's any that are suspicious, they are taken aside for secondary screening. Up till now, we have screened over about 23 or 24 cases, and only one, the one that's in Lagos, has been positive.
All right.
But
what is
if
the
anything
pace of the
happens,
recovery of
we're
the...
ready to handle another case if it comes up, but we're hoping it does not come up.
All right, thank you. Now, what is the pace of the recovery of the index case? How close are we from going out with the announcement that our index case has been given a clean bill of health?
Well, he hasn't been given a clean bill of health. He is improving. We are monitoring him. His symptoms are getting less. The day after he came in, he developed slightly worse pains, symptoms. He had cough and other symptoms that are typical of the COVID-19 infection. But since then, he's continued to improve. The viral load, because we measure his viral load, is reducing, and his general condition is good. On the whole, you would say that his case is a rather mild type. It didn't involve any respiratory distress. So we are still watching him, and when the viral load is zero, then he's ready to go home.
Now, Nigerians would want a clarification on the sum of 1.67 billion naira earmarked for COVID-19. What sort of support have you received or expecting from both development partners and the private sector?
Well, what we have available, what we have on hand is what the federal government has provided, which in total is about 1 billion. We have had promises from partners. There is a foundation that has promised 200 million, and the Global Fund has also, the country coordinating mechanism of the Global Fund has also expressed interest to support the effort if we make the application for it. But we have not received anything from any other partners. It is the close to 1 billion from government that we are operating with at the moment.
All right, Dr. Henry, would like to thank you for your time and, of course, your thoughts this evening. Thank you again for coming on Weekend File.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to share my thoughts.
To other news now, succor has come the way of some orphans in Kaduna as the First Lady Aisha Buhari, through her pet project, Future Assured, distributes food items to orphanages in the state. Muhammad Umar Ajenge reports that the First Lady was represented on the occasion.
These are orphans at Al Hisan Children's Home, Kaduna. There are more than 130 receiving care from donations they get from individuals and non-governmental organizations. The most recent is coming from the First Lady, Hajia Aisha Muhammad Buhari, whose jasta was delivered by Hajia Ummi Garba Rufai.
Dr. Aisha Muhammad Buhari sent items from the Future Assured project that she has. She sent bags of rice and some cooking oil and some blankets that she wanted to be distributed in Kaduna State, and she's doing this in other states as well.
The donation was extended to Faith Hope Orphanage Ministry at Saban Tasha, Agape Orphanage at Kakao, and Ayman Foundation at Ungwandosa in Kaduna. 15-year-old orphan Beatrice Habila is one of the beneficiaries.
They should know that God is with them and can help them.
Founders of the homes commended the president's wife for putting a smile on the faces of the orphans. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
About 19,000 internally displaced persons in Borno State benefit from relief materials distribution by the state government. Governor Babagana Zulum monitored the distribution at Gajeram town. Mohamed Goni reports.
Each of the 11,300 women received a fabric and 5,000 naira cash support, while 7,800 heads of households were presented with a bag of rice, maize grit, and cooking oil each. Professor Babagana Umar Zulum expressed concern over continued provision of food items to communities and stressed commitment to resuscitate agriculture in the agrarian communities in the state, creating enabling environment for local economies to thrive through support for entrepreneurs and small-scale businesses, as well as entrenchment of civil authorities in all areas.
The local government secretariat and others should be permanently here in Gajiram, while all those local governments in northern Borno, why they don't have human population, Marte, Kukawa, Gudumbali, have to operate in Mongono local government as as from next week. And we shall verify them. Any staff who is not willing to be there shall be summarily dismissed.
Member representing Monguno Marche Manganze Federal Constituency, Mohamed Tahir Monguno, lauded efforts of the present administration in the state at providing humanitarian support to communities as well as reconstruction and resettlement drive, assuring that the National Assembly will continue to work to ensure a return of peace to the Northeast. Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
G-Rule Africa, a non-governmental organization, is fronting an initiative where Nigerians will focus more on national integration and not divided along ethnic or religious lines. Timothy Yusuf covered the conference for NTA News.
The Executive Director of the Niger State Primary Health Care Development Agency, Dr. Ibrahim Dangana, is among many that believe that Nigeria as a nation has faced severe tests and trials in her drive towards nationhood. He joins other like minds here in Abuja to examine some of the core challenges bedeviling the country with a view to coming up with a resolve to establishing a sense of common belonging among the diverse ethnic groups within the nation.
We will say we've come a long way post-independence, but we are not where we want to be as a country. We are still battling with basic necessities of a country.
Nigeria, like every other country, we have our own challenges. So I don't call it a problem because I know there are things we can work on and get a result.
Convener of the conference, Dr. Henry Debem, identified greed and selfishness as major factors militating against achieving a united and peaceful society for all.
There's nobody that can stay alone or survive in isolation. So we have this mandate that this generation might be the last generation that will have the last chance to remodel this country.
The underlining message here is the clarion call on Nigerians to remain their brother's keeper and stay together now like never before. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
Aspire Women Forum, a non-profit organization, has joined the rest of the world in campaigning for a gender-equal world, where bias against women and girls cease to exist. This campaign is in line with the 2020 International Women's Day, which seeks the realization of women's rights. Emmanuel Animiro has this report.
The aim of the 2020 International Women's Day is to bring together all generations of women and girls leaders and gender equality activists to collectively tackle the unfinished business of empowering all women and girls in the year to come. Aligning with the global initiative, Aspire Women Forum is seeking support for women's health education, inclusiveness in workplace, and total happiness.
That women today need to look within themselves. Whatever they're doing in life, is it their purpose? Is it what they enjoy? Because once your purpose meets your passion, you are definitely on the road to happiness.
Finding happiness, the focus of the forum, gave room for women to aspire for happiness through various inscriptions picked at random to teach women how to seek their goals.
So I think this program really make it in such a way that we realize ourselves, realize our potential and where we are moving to. If we can go back to our values, our core values, we can achieve happiness.
Every 8th of March is celebrated as International Women's Day. Emmanuel Ayimiru, NTA News.
The British Council in Nigeria is 75 years and is looking forward to expanding its areas of intervention on capacity building and sustainability in the delivery of its development programs. To further deepen this bilateral relationship, a new office complex was inaugurated to ensure a conducive and effective working environment. Momsude Mandati takes us through the report.
It's a bright and sunny day. All roads lead to the Transcorp in Abuja. The stage is set and the ambience is just perfect for the event. Here, acquaintances are renewed and new friendships are established. Then the business of the day commences.
The ship is sinking fast, so able bodies to the oars. If we don't bring the change, it'll stay the way it is.
It's the 75th anniversary of the British Council in Nigeria.
I work in the arts and creative industries, working in education right through from grassroots basic education through to higher education programs.
Also about talking to our partners and hearing their views. So we build up the projects in a mutually beneficial way, and then we implement them also together.
A panel discussion on how it all began for the British Council and the weight of impacts the Council has made on some Nigerians who have now risen to stardom.
Giving opportunities to Nigerians, especially in the area of education and entrepreneurship. And 75 years is a long time. You can imagine the impact.
Useful and very impactful, partnerships across all the issues that shape and continue to shape higher education.
And here comes the icing on the cake. Behold a new office complex to house the British Council, with hopes for a more fruitful relationship with Nigeria. With this, it is hoped that both countries will extend their relations to the next level. Momso Damien Dati, NT News.
Best wishes from the All Progressives Congress APC to the Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo as he clocked 63 on Sunday, March 8, 2020. The party, in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary Lanre Issa Onilu, salutes the patriotism, doggedness and untiring efforts of the Vice President in partnering and assisting President Muhammadu Buhari in tackling security, fighting corruption and resetting the nation's economy on the path of growth and development. The APC particularly noted that the Vice President's massive contributions in the success of the APC-led administration's social investment program, which is reputed to be Africa's biggest and most ambitious social welfare policy for the most vulnerable in the society. The party expresses confidence that the commendable partnership of the President and the Vice President will take Nigeria to the next level of peace, progress and prosperity. You're watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. Liberating Africa from the shackles of foreign dominance, the Pan-African spirit must be rekindled. This is the tackling point or talking point of a colloquium organized in honor of the 83rd birthday celebration of former Nigeria's President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Denny Taiwo reports.
Dwelling on the theme, Pan-Africanism and a liberal democracy under siege, the speakers believe it is high time Africa redefined liberal democracy to reflect its rich traditional values while shunning such countercultures as homosexuality and other negative tendencies. Ogun State Governor Prince Dakpo Abiodun and some other guests traced the thematic focus of the colloquium to the life of the celebrant, who they described as a global citizen.
Baba is so patriotic, and Baba does not see Nigeria in tribes, regions, or ethnic groups.
He's one man that is so passionate about the unity of this country.
Thanking God for his grace, a highly elated Chief Obasanjo said Nigeria would only attain its full potential when integrity and patriotism rule the heart of Nigerians.
Whatever I have achieved, there are many people who have actually walked with me to achieve it.
Continue.
In the light of the challenges of artisanal mining and the need to shift attention to the potentially large role of minerals extraction in economic development, the federal government plans to formalize unregulated mining activities. You will learn more about that when we get to the second part of the show tonight. Correspondence report after the break. Yeah, we thank you for staying with us on Weekend File. And first of all, let's introduce our guest tonight, who is already here in the studio, Mr. Patrick Kleber Ojeka. Mr. Ojeka is the Director, Artisanal and Small-Scale Mining Department, Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. It's a pleasure to have you this evening.
Thank you.
All right, before we engage you, let's first of all bring in two reports on mining. From Kogi, Charles Alpha reports that the state, as the bedrock of mineral deposits, is better positioned to actualize President Buhari's policy objective to rejuvenate the mining sector and expand the country's revenue base.
Okaba in Ankpa and Dekina local government areas have one of Kogi's largest deposits of coal explored crudely, the enormous limestone deposit in Obajana and the Itakbe iron ore. This is aside the availability of dolomites, gemstone, vespa, gold and more. From one local government to another, the presence of large and small government corporations operated for decades, utilizing the abundant mineral reserves across the state. With the artisanal mining sector grossly overrun by unskilled and untrained labor, maximizing a positive impact as preconceived by President Muhammadu Buhari means bringing on board the artisanal miners for a collaborative and transparent knowledge and data sharing that would boost the nation's income.
The government is not going to come in as an operating organization or operating company. They will create an enabling environment, make it easy for those who are working to work, companies to access their sites.
The realization of President Muhammadu Buhari's formalization plans will no doubt translate potentials of the Kogi mining sector into a major catalyst for economic development and as well promote better integrated rural development strategies.
From Enugu, Chinenye reports that Nigeria stands to gain when it of course engages in mining coal. That's of course huge in that part of the country.
This coal mine is one of the sites in Enugu which held the keys to the economic window of Nigeria as it produced coal, which was a major source of energy to Oji River Power Station, generating electricity to the entire southeast. Also, as a result of increased mining activities in the state, a railway system was constructed linking Enugu coal mine fields with seaports in Port Harcourt for the evacuation of coal.
Coal was used to power the whole industry in Nigeria. It was coal that powered all the whole rails, all the trains that were conveying both the palm produce, both the pyramids, the granite pyramids in Kano, and the cocoa. It was coal that was used to transport all these things to the port.
The special interest in Enugu coal was not just about its quantity but quality, as it was used in steel production, driving engines, cement manufacturing, and electricity generation.
40 kilometers radius, 700 height. That is what helped, what Nigeria dug underneath the Ngwo field to develop Nigeria.
It is, however, the views of many that with the new thinking of government in the areas of reviving the coal mines in Enugu and revitalizing the industries, there will be increased electricity generation, expanded industrialization of the economy, as well as increased employment generation. In Enugu, Chinenye, NTN News.
The Ondo State government is working to ensure the huge bitumen deposits are properly explored. Doris Olumoko tells us more about her findings on bitumen deposit in Ondo State.
Ondo State has a large deposit of bitumen, which many experts believe is the largest in Africa. But the sector has remained dormant over the years, as all efforts by successive administrations to explore the mineral resource has not been successful.
In our own kind of deposit, you've got tar sand mixed with a pure bitumen, and you have to be able to have equipment and the technology to separate bitumen from tar sand as you are going along. You wouldn't know when you will meet some of them. So your equipment must be able to handle both.
The truth, according to experts, is that bitumen exploration is not a terrain for small-scale miners.
It's almost impossible to artisanally mine bitumen, because it's a subsurface kind of stuff. Even though you have outpours, the complexity and what it requires is not like a stone that you are chipping away and put in your pocket and go and sell.
Artisanal mining is said to be very active on some other mineral deposits like limestone, bulk clay, and granite.
They are in the informal sector. They are not captured under the tax net. And so because they are not captured under the tax net, a lot of revenue is being lost.
Plans are in top gear for the commencement of bitumen exploration in Ondo State. In Akure, Doris Olumoko, NTA News.
Yeah, thank you indeed, Doris. And we're still here with Patrick Ojeka, Director of Artisanal Mining of the Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. I know we are talking about formalization of artisanal mining in the country. Tell us what that is all about.
Formalization, as it is captured, is a process that requires the re-incentivizing of the artisanal miners who get into the trade on individual basis. The need for them to bunch together to improve in their yield. And of course, the aim of government in undertaking formalization is to enable government mainstream these categories of operators to the mainstream operation. You need to get to create awareness and sensitize them adequately, sufficiently to enable them bunch, and thereafter they are registered. And through that formalization process, which culminates in the registration with the ministry, enables them to access government programs that grow them from the level of poverty to a better place Nigerians.
Yeah, are they willing to key into government policy in this respect? Because of course we know that the biometric capture exercise of artisanal miners is ongoing at the moment.
Yes, they are willing. Substantially, a majority of them are showing interest in bunching together to form cooperative because of the incentives government is providing and placing it on the platform. The biometrics, which is form part of what we call Presidential Artisanal Small Gold Mining Initiative, called PAGMI, has kickstarted in Kebbi State, and it has to be spread to Osun State and other states that produces gold. PAGMI focuses mainly on gold-producing states, and that program will cover all the about 9 states that produces gold in Nigeria. And then that process will go a long way in sanitizing the subsector, the artisanal field.
Now, we understand that we have about 500,000 artisanal miners in Nigeria and another 300,000 who are involved in the sales channels or service providers, as the case may be. Yeah. And you're also talking about corporatization. How is this going to work? Let us know the steps, the process we take.
Yeah, it has been very difficult to be able to get to an individual who is motivated by poverty to get into mining activity indiscriminately. Wherever they find themselves, they give no recognition to the laid down rules. Fine. So, getting our revenue from there is difficult. Hence, the idea of forming them into cooperative to mainstream them. And then, through that channel, and then through proper disposal of their wins at the buying center, will enable government to be able to attract much revenue.
Yes, I'm asking this question because a situation where a beautiful plan is put in place, but when it comes to implementation, it becomes difficult. Is what we're trying to arrive at. Now, considering the number of people who are involved in artisanal mining, and of course what the government has put in place now to see how they can be formalized, the question still remains, how are you going to achieve this? Because artisanal miners are in so many states across the country.
Yeah, they are all over the country because of the huge resources that the nation is endowed with. Currently, as we speak, we have about 1,740 cooperatives registered across the country. The density of the registration differs from state to state and depends on the type of minerals that are available. They go for high-priced precious metal like gold. Hence, the North Central Zamfara have a large proportion of the registered cooperative already, and more are bunching to join.
All right, now we hear that 30 billion naira was released by the federal government as an intervention fund. Another 5 billion from the Bank of Industry and of course your ministry. Are the artisanal miners incorporated to be able to benefit from these funds?
Well, let's get the facts straight before we go further.
Exactly.
The 30 billion, yes, was what was granted to the ministry to enable it optimize and uplift the activities to bring every player to the platform. Out of that 30 billion, the ministry domiciled 2.5 billion with BOI, with the BOI opting to, pay the counterpart of 2.5 billion, making it 5 billion. Artisanal cooperatives are entitled to access that loan. It's a revolving loan. Hence, it is put with BOI to access up to the limit of 10 million naira, not cash given to them directly, but plowed through machinery that will improve in their year.
Okay, now what about your monitoring mechanism, to ensure that as soon as they form cooperatives and they'll be closely monitored to determine the extent they're going in terms of mining itself and of course the sales of their products?
Yeah, monitoring mechanism is being improved with an activity that is being established in the ministry now that we call the remote sensing. And with that, with the remote sensing, it will reduce, considering the risk factor currently, insecurity and the landscape of the country. The remote sensing center station that will be established in the ministry will be able to enable the ministry, interface and see the activities going on in the field, and by that process, get the coordinate of the location of the same satellite imagery transmitted to the officers on ground with specific instruction to identify that location and give full detailed report back to headquarters so that appropriate action can be taken. The program is ongoing, and we hopefully within a new couple of months that exercise will be completed and the ministry will be able to have efficient and effective monitoring.
All right, thank you. Well, we'll take more reports. I will return to you for us to do the concluding part of this conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, biometric data capture of artisanal gold miners in Kebbi State is receiving a boost with commitment from the stakeholders to key into the exercise for mutual benefit. Nora Tanko Wakili reports that the exercise is going on hitch-free in all the registration centers.
Artisanal gold mining is taking place in about 7 local government areas of Kebbi State, where artisans labor to the swollen pockets of the self-acclaimed gold dealers. This development has denied both the artisans and various levels of government their fair share from the natural resource despite efforts being put in place. To contend this ugly trend, the federal government came up with the Presidential Artisanal Gold Mining Initiative, aimed at providing legal, economic and institutional framework for the activity through a national gold purchase program and provision of better equipment with centralized processing center. The initiative was inaugurated in Kebbi State with the view to enrolling all artisanal gold miners, where 7 registration centers were to be set up.
80% of mining in Nigeria is ASM, it's artisanal mining. We can't ignore them, and sometimes it poses a security risk to do that. This program will bring benefits for financial inclusion, for value addition, and for job creation.
Adequate arrangements have been put in place at the registration centers with BBN and national identity registration points to address peculiarities of enrollees. This, the artisanal miners and other stakeholders believe, will address most of the challenges bedeviling the sector.
And I urge all those who are going to be registered, the artisanal miners, to know that what they do will represent what will be known for. So we want them to be good ambassadors.
In Brendan Kebbi, Nora Tanko Wakili, NTA News.
Mining sector stakeholders in Niger State, through collaboration with Doctors Without Borders, have put in place modalities for safe mining practices to forestall reoccurrence of lead poisoning experienced 6 years ago in some communities of Rafi local government area of the state. Dauda Mohammed, however, reports that recent rise in insecurity in the area has hampered monitoring of mining practices.
6 years ago, an outbreak of lead poison in Shakira and Tungamalan communities of Rafi local government area of Niger State left 43 people dead, mostly children under the age of 5, with an almost equal number hospitalized. The incident drew the attention of MSF, Doctors Without Borders, and a treatment clinic was set up at the General Hospital Kagara. After the successful treatment of the victims and complete stoppage of all unsafe mining practices and processing within residential areas, contract for the remediation of the affected communities was awarded by the federal government, which involved the evacuation of contaminated soil and its replacement.
Treatment is not the solution. Remediation is not the solution. The solution at the end of the day is safer mining programs.
After the exercise, Doctors Without Borders, MSF, Occupational Knowledge International, OKI, in collaboration with the government, undertook the training of artisanal miners on safe mining practices and new processing techniques of the ore, like wet bore method.
You know, these miners, some people are immigrants. They travel from somewhere to that place. So whenever those ones on ground see these strangers doing things that are not correct or doing wrong things, they normally call on the ministry that something is going on.
Medical facilities have also been put in place to monitor lead levels and testing of miners, as well as treatment clinics.
We are working together as a joint committee, Ministry of Health, Ministry for Local Government, Ministry of Mineral Resources, and even the Rafi local government.
For sustainability, a National Safer Mining Lead Poison Training Institute is under construction in Kagara, headquarters of Rafi local government area of Niger State in Mina. Dauda Mohammed, NTA News.
Now it's time for another break. The conversation continues when we get back. And we're still here with Mr. Patrick Ojeka, Director, Artisanal and Small-Scale Mining, Department of Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. Yes. Now, let me ask you this. Apart from formalizing the artisanal miners, the issue of marketing and collecting of royalties are central in revenue generation. Yep. So what are some of the measures to tackling leakages?
The sector currently from 2005 have been undergoing a reform, and that reform is to take care of all the known leakages and other gaps that exist in the operations of the subsector. Recently, the current administration established a committee that looked at the optimization of revenue from the sector. You will agree with me that revenue contribution of the mining sector to the national GDP has been increasing gradually from a mere 360 million in 2005 to 5 billion as at the last count in 2019. And the committee came out with a series of recommendations which the administration is looking into to start to further stem leakages that were very, very obvious. We're working on that, and we hope that with a set target of about 20 billion contribution in the year 2020, most of those the loopholes would have been taken care of.
Okay, is there any timeline for this formalization process?
Formalization is a continuous process because with the increase in poverty, more persons are entering into the mining sector. And of course, the program, which is supposed to be a continuous roll-on, roll-off program, gradually because of challenges of funding, now have some lacuna, time gap between one operation to the other. To the extent that when you successfully complete the process, by the time you get to the field, you will see that more persons are available. So it's a continuous process. Well, hopefully, with the sustainability of the program, within a couple of years, we should be able to get through. And once that is done sufficiently, those who have refused to form into cooperative to be formalized will not be criminalized. But government, at this moment, is not criminalizing the operation.
Okay, now, are there plans to revive some moribund mining sites in Nigeria? For example, the Nguku mine.
Well, not as government operating directly, because of government policy of administrator regulator. But the program that we call Proof of Concept is another channel government is looking at, partnering with strong operations that will continue to improve in our region, and then put in some equity and grow that operation optimally.
Well, we've heard about this issue of a gestation period when it comes to mining, and that has been on and on for decades now. When can gestation period end for us to have all these mines reactivated?
Incidentally, mining is like you planning into renovating a gigantic building. You know that you have to spend more money to get the building to a proper standard. So, like mining, it is not an investment that you get the result within a short span of time. Taking into cognizance that you will need to do exploration, detailed exploration to determine the quantum of mineralization. And thereafter, you now assess and obtain what we call mining lease. Mining lease that will last you for 25 years. Right? So, the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act made a provision that you can take the first 3 years of the exploration license, and as you progress with the exploration, if you have not concluded sufficiently, you can reapply again for an extension. So we are looking at gestation period of investment in mining majorly between 5 to 10 years.
All right, I asked that question because we've been hearing about that since 1999,
Yep.
and we've not been able to learn. But all the same, progress has been made so far.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick Ojeka, Director, Artisanal and Small Scale Mining Department, Minister of Mines and Steel Development. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Kirian.
All right, you're still watching Weekend File. We'll take another break. We'll be back very shortly.
That channel where you watch just now don't waka. No panic. Can you make no panic? You go do it by yourself like ABC. Oh yeah, press the menu button on top your remote. Scroll up and down till you see Information Central. Then press OK. Press OK. Check the signal strength and quality. If the signal strength and quality pass 70, make you press the exit button, go back. Go advanced options, then choose installation, then go to reset and press OK. Press OK.
Wow! Now you self fit catch all those channels with the one miss road by yourself. Yes, make your groove for no loss. You see as I do am, Abi? And I see as I do am.
Go TV, live it, love it.
And I see as we do am.
President Muhammadu Buhari sends warm felicitation to former Senate leader Victor Ndomaewa on his 64th birthday, saluting his courage, foresight and diligent service to the nation. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu. The President joins Senator Ndomaewa's family and friends in celebrating the lawyer, lawmaker and astute administrator who left his footprints of loyalty and dedication wherever he served the nation, especially on the political and economic sectors. President Buhari praised that the Almighty God will grant former Senate leader longer life and good health to keep serving the nation. And now we go sports. Nigeria's under-17 female national team this evening in the first leg of the World Cup qualifier match played in Conakry humiliated Guinea by 6-1. Second leg comes up in Lagos. For more on Sports Update, let's join Olumide Eguntola.
Toje Marine won the first gold of the competition